What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for April 8th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday. It's time for a little motivation / positivity. And today's quote comes from Clint Hurdle, former Major League player and manager. And I saw this the other day, and I'm like, I have to put this on there. And the quote is, "It's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourselves right." And that really, if you just take a second to let that sink in, it's likely a new way of thinking for a lot of us. And what to me this means is you need to get better, or if you need to get better, you need to do it for yourself, not others. Because I think at that point, you're losing focus of what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to do. And the goal then shifts from being better to proving others wrong. And I'll be honest, I tend to go through this a lot, especially now that this podcast is growing, getting a larger following on social media. And with that, obviously comes people just hating and saying, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, you're an idiot, whatever it could be. And it's important to use that as motivation. I'm not saying ignore it, but get better for yourself, because stick to your plan. Stick to what your goals are, not what the outsiders are saying. To me, you'll work harder if you're working for something that you're doing instead of working toward the others. You need to get yourself in the right mindset. And sometimes it's difficult, I'm not going to lie. I told you about when I went through where people were talking trash to me, thinking I was the guy from the Packers playoff game, even though it didn't look anything like me. And it really was a good lesson for me. And instead of trying to argue back and everything, you just kind of stay focused, continue to keep your eyes on your prize. And with that, if you continue to work to make yourself better and prove yourself right, then in turn, that the other stuff's going to come with it. You'll be better for others. You'll prove those other doubters and haters wrong. But you need to believe in what you can do, what you can focus on, control what you can control, not what the others say. Shut out the outside noise. Keep growing. Keep getting better, and you'll be fine. And like I said, I really liked this when I saw it. It's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Because truthfully, to me, a lot of times the people that hate, the people that doubt you, are the people that either are jealous because they're not achieving the level of success that you are, or are jealous because they simply cannot do what you want to do, or they're lazy, or they have a bad mindset, whatever it is. So tune that out. Don't try to prove others wrong. Prove yourself right, in the wise words of Clint Hurdle. Hopefully you can take that through your week and it will guide you. Hopefully you can do better, be better, because ultimately that's what we're all trying to do. And that's, people ask me all the time, why do you do the Tuesday motivation? And it started after the DeMar Hamlin thing and how everybody was coming together, and just wanted to keep everything positive. So every Tuesday we do a motivation / positivity in the hopes that maybe one of the things I say will help you to get better. These are all things that I take to heart and really think about. And this one's a tough one. I'm not going to lie to you. This one is absolutely tough, because it's hard not to hear what the doubters are saying. It's hard not to hear what the haters are saying, but you need to focus on yourself, getting better for yourself, and you will achieve great things. So that is today's Tuesday motivation. It's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. That one comes from Clint Hurdle, former Major League player and manager. All right, let's get into some housekeeping like we always do. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Spread the word as we grow this thing. Like I said, we are growing it. And with that, lots of doubters, lots of comments, questioning my takes, questioning what my opinions are, and it all goes with the territory. Also, I keep mentioning this, but wanted to mention it again. If you want to see highlights, clips, newspaper, photos, whatever, of whatever this day in Philly sports history is, all of that is on my social media as well. So be sure to check me out, including on my Facebook and LinkedIn pages. And to be honest, I think it's important to show what was going on. One of my favorite things to do, and partly is because I'm a history nerd, is I have a newspapers.com subscription. It's pretty much kind of the lifeline of this podcast. I tend to get the ideas and it sparks things, and I go and read the paper and see what else was going on, get some ideas that way. So it's cool to see some of those newspaper clips and things like that, but I think it's always important to tell the story. So be sure to check me out on the social media, all of the platforms, to see some of the highlights of this day in Philly sports history. And then be sure to check out Lenny Wagner's book, Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Era. I'll get it right. I've only been talking about it for a few weeks now. Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Age of Sports. It chronicles the life of Walter French. He has an amazing story, won a World Series with the Philadelphia Athletics, won a championship with the Pottsville Maroons, even though the NFL took it away. But if you are a history person or know someone who is into history and likes sports as well, it's a good merging of the two. Talks about the history of some of the sports, what was going on as sports kind of boomed in the 1920s, as well as what was going on in the world then. Great book. Going out tonight, Lenny will be at the Mount Laurel Historical Society doing a presentation and signing books. So go, if you're going to be there, come say hello to me. But go buy the book. It's available wherever you get books. It's also available on Audible. And truthfully, it does make a great gift. So go check out Lenny's book, Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Age of Sports, the story of Walter French. And hopefully I'll see you tonight out in Mount Laurel. All right, Sixers lost again for the 12th straight time. And this was a huge loss for them. 117-105 to the Heat. Lonnie Walker and Quentin Grimes each had 29. They ran out their 53rd different starting lineup for the season, extending their NBA record. But all of that, none of that matters. It's all about where they are in the standings. They have 3 games left. They're 2.5 behind or ahead of the Nets, a game and a half behind the Pelicans. And guess what? Those two teams play each other tonight. So we should have a good sense on where the Sixers kind of will land. If things kind of break right, they will clinch that 5th spot minimally. If the Nets lose, there's still 2 games with 3 games left. So it's kind of one of those things. If the Nets win, there'll only be a game back of the Pelicans. So huge game for the lottery standings tonight as the Nets take on the Pelicans. We'll have all of the updates for you tomorrow. All right, Phils back in action tonight. Huge game. Should be a fun one tonight. Zach Wheeler takes on Chris Sale down in Atlanta. Another huge series early here in the season for the Phils. Not only because of coming off that win with the Dodgers. Hopefully they don't come out sniffing themselves thinking they're hot shit. But this is huge in the NL East standings because it's early. Now, I'm not saying the Braves aren't going to put it together, but they could really put some distance between themselves and the Braves if they win this series this week. So good one tonight. I did see a stat this morning in the Inquirer. They were talking about the chase rate and how the Phillies have been more disciplined and having more productive and good at-bats. And they do have the lowest chase rate in the major leagues right now, which is a good thing considering. Hopefully that mindset does not veer and they can continue that. Hitting coach Kevin Long credited it to having the robo-umps in the spring training, which really helped to relax the players because they didn't have to guess at the strike zone and they had a better understanding, I guess, of what the strike zone is and kind of how it's much smaller than what they thought it was. Obviously, each umpire now is different, but credit the robo-umps for helping the Phillies to really cut down on their bad swings and their chase rate. I did even see that even though it was Trey Turner, struck out one time with runners on base, he did come back and ask Kevin Long, he's like, was that a strike? Kevin Long said no, but it was down the middle and it was just off. So they are seeing the pitches better. So hopefully, like I said, that we need to continue with that mindset. But who would have thought AI call in the balls and strikes helps the Phillies get their chase rate down here early in the season. All right, let's recap yesterday's question of the day. Heading into this series, coming off the big series win against the Dodgers, I asked you, how are we feeling now? And we did a little bit of a vibe check. 78% of you are feeling pretty good about this Phillies team right now. Some are still skeptical. Some are saying they're not a believer yet. And truthfully, it's 9 games into the season, so there's a whole lot of baseball left to be played. But I think this is a much better start than any of us had anticipated. And I think the way they're doing it, more so than anything. Yes, they're hitting long balls, but like I said, that chase rate, having good productive at-bats. We've even seen some glimpses of some small ball. I want to see what they're going to do. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of Johan Rojas dropping down bunts and things like that. There's still some questions with this team. But again, 9 games into the season, we should feel good about this team. And that, to me, is this whole new Philly mindset. I think the Phillies proved that they can go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. Whether that translates in the postseason or not, that still remains to be seen. But I think early in the season, we have some good things to feel good about. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. There will be another one later in the show. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things happening with their Sports Fan Network. If you want to know what their Sports Fan Network is and is all about, go to clashingconferences.com. All of their podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. But Steven and the crew over there, they're doing a great job. It's a fun little take. Get guys that normally probably wouldn't even interact with each other from all parts of the country, talking sports, lots of fun, lots of great guys coming in and girls talking about it. So go to clashingconferences.com and check out what they have to offer. And then Philly Goat, just when I think they can't get any better, they do it. Now, I've been trying for years to become a whiskey drinker. And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes it goes in ebbs and flows. This weekend, going up to my annual golf trip in the mountains, probably will be sipping on some whiskey as we sit around, BS, smoke cigars, and all of that good stuff. But Philly Goat's got you covered. You know the Fanatic shirt with the Major League Baseball logo with the Fanatic's face in it instead of the baseball player? One of my favorite shirts they have. It's on a rocks glass now. And this thing is like a legit rocks glass. It looks awesome. It has that Fanatic logo with the Major League Baseball with the Fanatic's face in it. Go check it out. This rocks glass is awesome. Not too bad price-wise either. I think it's $29.99. Go check it out. It looks like it's a legit solid. Nothing I've ever gotten from Philly Goat has been cheap. So check out the rocks glass. If you're a whiskey drinker, go to phillygoat.com. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery and get the Fanatic rocks glass. I think I'm going to get one of these too. I mean, pretty soon my house, I'm going to have the Philly Goat logo on my house at this point. But this Fanatic rocks glass is awesome. So go check it out. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. And tell Ryan that you listen to This Day in Philly Sports History, and I'll hook you up with 10% off. All right, some Big Five news. Fran McCaffrey was named the new coach at Penn. He's a Philly native, coached at Iowa, Siena, UNC Greensboro, and Lehigh. I guess this is kind of an exciting move for the Quakers. Fran comes back home. He is in the Ivy League, though, so he's going to have his work cut out for him. But I think I could see just on name recognition alone, he's a great coach. So hopefully he can get some players and start turning around the Penn team so they can start competing for Ivy League titles. But welcome home, Fran. March Madness is over. We got our final little March Madness college basketball little thing here. But Fran McCaffrey will be the new coach of the Penn Quakers. All right. Today, we're going to go back to 2009. And on this day in 2009, after scoring one run, In their first 2 games of the season against the Braves, the Phillies once again fell behind 10-3 in the third game of their home opening series, heading into the bottom of the 7th. And then the floodgates open. They remembered they were the defending champions. 8 straight Phillies knocked in runs. Majority of them came on walks. They put up a crooked number, as Charlie used to like to say. An 8-run inning. Phils go on to beat the Braves 12-11. Raul Ibanez hit his first home run with the Phils. And this was a big day. I remember being at this game. We went on a class trip. It was amazing. Like, I got paid to go to a Phillies game. Granted, I had a bunch of kindergarten through 8th graders, but that's okay. But this was the day that the Phillies won their 2008 championship rings. Those things were beautiful, if you remember at the time, with the big P on it. You gotta love it. But they won the game 12-11 against the Braves after falling behind and mounting a major comeback. Unfortunately, I missed the comeback because we had to take the kids back to school to be home in time for the buses. But it was a cool experience to see them get their rings. They would get it together, though, that season. They took over first place on May 30th and never looked back as they won their 3rd straight division title and ended up with their 2nd straight World Series appearance. But on this day in 2009, Phillies got their World Series championship rings and then all of a sudden remembered, hey, we're the defending champions. Let's play like it. Mounted a huge comeback against the Braves, winning 12-11 after falling down 10-3. All right, speaking of rings, we're going to continue our missing rings spotlight. We're going to go back to this era of Phillies baseball, and today we're going to spotlight Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay. And I put both of these guys together, even though the whole situation was kind of wonky. If you remember, these two will always be intertwined, by the way. That's why I'm putting them together. But if you remember, the Phillies brought in Cliff Lee in the 2009 season at the trade deadline, and he really helped them down the stretch get to the World Series. Played well in the or pitched well in the playoffs and the World Series, and then they let him go, or they traded him to the Rangers, brought him back for the 2011 season. They let him go and traded him because they actually signed Roy Halladay to begin for the 2010 season. And both of these guys were amazing during their time in Philly. And it's a shame that neither one of them won World Series rings. I mean, in 2009, they lost the World Series. They made uncharacteristic mistakes in that World Series against the Yankees. And it was Cliff Lee, though, living up to the hype. If you remember Game 1 when the Phillies won, the nonchalant catch like he was bored. He also pitched the only game they won at home that year. I was in attendance for that game. But Cliff Lee certainly lived up to the hype, and we were looking forward to the 2010 season. Unfortunately, they did not have Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee in 2010. I wonder if that season had played out, how it would have played out if the Phillies had kept Cliff Lee. But in 2010, Halladay won the Cy Young. They lost in the NLCS to the Giants, who were a hot team. The Phillies' bats went cold. Sound familiar? Arizona Diamondbacks. But they did come back and bring Cliff Lee back. They had the 4 aces. They had Hamels, Lee, Halladay, and Roy Oswalt. But once again, in 2011, despite winning a club record 102 games, they lost in the NLDS because the bats got cold. And then after the 2011 season, Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee both got old very fast. Halladay especially. Cliff Lee, I think, has disappeared from the face of the earth. You never see him anywhere. You never hear from him. I don't know where he is, what he's doing. But, man, to me it's frustrating because any of those 3 years from 2009 to 2011, the Phillies pretty much were the best team in Major League Baseball. And for them to not win a World Series is really disappointing. They could have won it any of those 3 years. They left a lot of meat on the bone. And it's a shame that Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay, neither one were able to win World Series titles with the Phillies. And I still think, and that this is going to lead into to today's question of the day, this is one of the most disappointing eras in Philly sports history, that 2009 through 2011 stretch run. But today's missing ring spotlight, Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay never won in Philly despite both of them at various times being the ace of the team. Very disappointing, but that is today's question of the day. Typically, we associate the Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb era as one of those disappointing eras of Philly sports history, specifically from 2002 to 2004, that 3-year window. Which 3-year window was more disappointing, though? The 02 through 04 Phillies or the 09 through 011 or 09 through 11 Phillies? I think I got to go with the Phillies. You guys know, I say it all the time. Phillies are my first love. Eagles are my true love. Sixers are my crazy ex-girlfriend. And the Flyers are the random Friday night hookup. But I think as much as I love the Eagles, this was a way more disappointing era because of how good the Phillies were. I think they had the best record in Major League Baseball 2 of those 3 years. Should have won that World Series against the Yankees. No chance that the Giants were better than them. They certainly got cold against the Cardinals there in the NLDS. All they had to do was score 2 runs because Halladay was pitching lights out, and then who knows what would have happened. But let me know your thoughts on that. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Which era of sports is the most disappointing in Philly sports history? Is it that 02 to 04 Eagles run, the 2009 to 2011 Phillies run? Where do you want to go if you're an old school person? Some people will say that 76 through 78 Phillies run might be there too. Let me know your thoughts, though. Get that, anything else Philly sports related off your chest. I'm saying the 09 through 011 Phillies run was way more disappointing than the Eagles run. And I know that says a lot coming from me. But let me know your thoughts on the Back to the Future voice and text line or any of my social media as we spotlight Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay as today's missing rings Philly sports athlete. On this day in 2009, the Phillies did get their championship rings from the 2008 season, fell behind early to the Braves, and then came back to win 12-11, really kind of igniting and turning things around that season. Took over first place late in May and just never looked back. We'll have more on the Phillies tomorrow. I will update you on the ever-important lottery standings for the Sixers. Be sure to check out my social media for highlights from that ring ceremony as well as the game itself. If you're going to be in Mount Laurel, hit me up. Come over and say hello. But be sure to buy Lenny's book, Playing with the Best, One Man's Journey Through the Golden Age of Sports, the story of Walter French. And it's an amazing story. And again, it's not just Walter French. If you're a history buff, you're going to love this book. So go anywhere you get your books as well as on Audible. Remember, it's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. In the wise words of Clint Hurdle, take that through your weeks. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 8th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.